Hi, hello everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about shows episode by episode, week by week, mostly for our enjoyment and yours. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffy D Pad, and with me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing?
We hit the week of this time, kind of like within 7 days.
Yeah,
That
we just
counts.
thought this one is the episode by episode.
Yeah, okay, that
That's not our
fair.
fault.
And you know what? The fact that we're getting 4 feature-length films dropping every week in the Star Wars universe for the next month,
And it's probably
I'm
going to be some of the
happy.
best Star Wars content we have ever been given.
Yeah, I mean, if the first 3 episodes are indicative of anything, yeah,
Or the full first season, for that matter. Of course, folks,
yeah.
we are talking about Andor Season 2. Andor is back. Andor Season 1, one of our favorite things we have ever talked about on this show.
The second best Star Wars thing ever, maybe third.
I would say the best, in my opinion, but
See, for me, Empire and Rogue One are both really up there. So it's hard to. It's definitely It's in the conversation.
it's funny because like Empire and Rogue One, both fantastic. I don't think either are in my top three.
Okay, we're gonna have that. We're gonna have to do an episode where we rank our Star Wars, and
Like,
that's everything. We're talking Ewok special, Clone Wars, the movie, Clone
okay,
Wars,
before
the
we talk about the
show.
Star Wars Ewoks show, you know the one I'm talking about, the one that was essentially Adventures of Gummy Bears, but it's Ewoks.
Yes, I do.
That is number one. Saying that mostly jokingly, but that kind of was great. No, number one is this, and then up there alongside it is probably Rebels and Clone Wars.
Let's see. You love
Clone,
Rebels. You love Clone Wars.
Clone Wars,
I'm surprised Bad
specifically
Batch isn't
the
up there
final
for you.
well, the final season of Clone Wars. The
The
best Star
final
Wars
Disney season or the final
the
Netflix
final
season?
Disney
Because
season.
remember, Netflix did a season of this too.
Yeah, no, I'm talking the final Disney season of
Clone Wars is a weird show,
the
man.
Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah,
Just so good, so good. But that's not what we're here to talk
we're
about
not
today.
talking about that.
There will be probably full spoilers for anything Star Wars, though, so keep your head on a
That
swivel
seems
for that.
reasonable to assume.
Of course, folks, we're talking today about Andor Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. It's not our fault. They're dropping them in 3-episode chunks.
Which makes me so happy.
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great, but it also means that we have 3 episodes of TV to watch every week before we talk about this. So will these be coming out on, like, Wednesdays? Absolutely not.
I'm lucky if I watch them by the following Wednesday. I'm still behind on The Last of Us. There's 3 episodes out now. I haven't watched any of them.
Yeah, I'm behind, but I'm also kind of waiting at this point.
I think I may too.
Of course, we're talking about episode 1, 1 year later, episode 2, Sigrona Tima, and episode 3, Harvest. Fuck, man. These first 3 episodes, I sat down and watched the first episode by itself, and then watched episodes 2 and 3 together.
I kind of did the same, yeah.
And after that first episode is very, very good.
Definitely sets the stage.
Great. More Star Wars, more Andor. This is exactly what I want. Then I sat down and watched episodes 2 and 3. And I was like, fuck. I need to decompress.
I mean, we got the hallway scene in Rogue One, and even then, we got the single darkest Star Wars moment in the history of the franchise in episode 3. Like, bar none.
Yeah, I think I will throw out folks to put a trigger warning of this episode because rape is a part of episode 3 to be talking about if there is an attempt. It is not a successful attempt, thank Christ. But yeah.
Bix has been through some shit.
And Bix's like PTSD fully on display in episode 1. Bix consistently being one of my favorite characters in this show because she is a character who has easily suffered the most in this show for the least gain of anybody.
Yeah, but we know by the end of this, because, I mean, we get in these 3 episodes with the loss of Brasso, no one in this show makes it to Rogue One but Cassian. So, well, Mon, but that's it. Like, that's it. Yeah, so, like, we're in for some deep shit here.
I started taking notes again, but literally I've just put, not Brasso, no, I hate it, don't do this to me.
But they had to, right? The stakes needed to be there immediately, and they are. Because that's the way that Rogue One works. It's the way that Andor Season 1 worked. And obviously that's carrying forward into this season of the show.
so much here. There's kind of, I would say, 3 or 4, depending on how you count them, main storylines in these first few episodes. We have Cassian's whole thing. We've got everything with
the stolen
TIE Fighter
tie um,
experimental.
experimental ship
Yeah, got that.
prototype.
We got everything with Mon Mothma.
Yeah,
We've
the
got
wedding, the all of the political intrigue, everything with Skarsgård, whose character's name I can't remember, Stellan Skarsgård's character, and
oh yeah,
the banking, and all of this stuff that's like weaved in, and
it
it's
was like
mwah.
simultaneously beautiful and horrifying at the same time.
Man, her dancing through that wedding was depressing as hell.
Also, one of the more real moments in this of I
We'll
cannot
get
do
there. We'll
anything to
get there.
stop this. I'm going to get absolutely wasted in just trying to accept the situation I'm in.
Well,
Um,
especially after the conversation she had with her daughter before going out and actually getting married. Oh man, that hurts. As a
yeah.
parent, that hurts so much.
So we got those two. We also have the. It's a smaller conversation here, but there's everything, particularly with Deidre. Cyril also being a part of that.
Yeah.
Um, Tiny part though in comparison to Deidre's um, inclusion and everything that's happening with Garath. And then finally everything that's happening with Bix and Brasso and
Yeah.
the other dude whose name I do not remember, but I do think will be dead within the next 3 episodes.
Wilmon. I think that's really interesting too. Again, I don't know what it is about Disney, but like their shit's hitting in the right political climate where you're talking about random inspections and illegals and not having work visas and all of this shit. I'm just like, how are they this good at predicting the future? Like this is Simpsons level of predicting the future at this point.
Is it? It's not even the future. Um,
Well, I mean, relative to when they wrote and produced the show is more what I meant.
fair, but this.
But we've been living through this shit for the last decade, so they're just drawing inspiration from that.
When the writing's on the wall, right? Someone has
Yeah,
to read it. I
Tony Gilroy just continues to deliver.
I do think this show's fantastic, and I have that same feeling with this that I had at the beginning of Daredevil, where I have a love hate for this, where I love this show and everything it does, and I hate how much it's mirroring reality, right? Like,
Yeah, and feeling the same way through all of season one as well.
like when it comes to the political side of this, which folks, we are a Disney show, and I've said it many times that we will absolutely talk politics when we must on this show because you can't separate the two. This is going to be an inherently political show to talk about. Watch literally anybody on the internet, and it's already happening. And it was bound to. The first, the first show was, or season, sorry, was very divisive because of that, and very divisive in the way of everyone who understands not to be an asshole is not being
Knows
an
not to be an asshole.
and everyone who's being an asshole is being an asshole. Asshole has officially lost its meaning in the amount I've said it in the last 30 seconds.
Let me just asshole. There we go.
Perfect. It's an interesting conversation to have with this one, but getting into this one, especially right after the U.S. just deported children.
Or I mean the week where we've now had the second child with cancer deported illegally from the U.S.
Like it absolutely is hitting close to home on that. Of yeah, these random inspections, but also the entire
Lack of
storyline.
humanity.
I was expecting
Following
that,
orders.
but no, I
Well,
was
no, just the idea of following
the
orders,
hate
right?
campaigns that they're planning for forgetting the name. I said it earlier, starting with a G.
I was going to say RFK's thing with autism and creating lists for that kind of.
I was talking about it in the show.
Well, no, I mean, but I almost directly parallels the kind of things that they're trying to do in the show, right?
Not even that, but just their rhetoric every single day.
Yeah.
Like, just take their rhetoric around the Russia invading Ukraine. Like, it absolutely fits back into these things that we're seeing in the show. So, this show, I think, is going to be one that's going to be hitting very close to home throughout all 12 episodes of the season. And it's something we got to mentally prepare for because
I'm ready to be hurt again.
this shit's going to hurt because the
Rogue One hurt
right now.
Season 1 hurt. This is going to hurt.
Hopefully
it hurts in the right way.
there was a fantastic exchange between Mon Mothma and the other lady whose name I cannot remember. Um,
Her
the other
sister?
rebel. I think it's her sister. The other rebel.
Pretty sure it's her sister. But I didn't go back and rewatch season one. I kind of wish I had.
I'm running through. Her cousin. Her cousin.
Cousin. I knew they were related.
Yeah. Vel Sartha, which was there's work to be done. We have to live through to do it. Which was kind of just this moment that really stood out to me throughout all of this. This moment of like, there is this confliction in Mon Mothma throughout these first few episodes of supporting her family, being with her family, and trying, despite her hesitations and concerns about the ritual and the situation that they're in, to be there for her daughter and enjoy the moment, but she just cannot with everything going on. It's that idea of, yeah, we have to live through to do it. And that's something I think that I am trying to fight with and balance with personally.
Yeah.
Throughout everything that's happening right now. And I think it's a good reminder for everybody. Like, we have to live through to do it. We have to live through to continue to fight, to continue to work through that work that needs to be done.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, a lot of living through it and continuing to fight that fight is learning to recognize and not letting it happen again. And I think there's a lot of, I mean, this is going to supersede everything about this show, but I mean, there's a lot of rhetoric right now that is very indicative of what happened in the 1940s. And we don't want to see another Holocaust, right? So if you are able to get out, voice your opinion, make sure you are heard, contact your representatives, what is happening is not right. And media like this and media like others that highlight that are a good reminder that we have to say no and find a way to say no and find a way to push back and find a way to rebel.
But with that, as a reminder, media like this is pointless without action.
Yeah.
I love this show. I love that we're getting to talk about this, and we'll talk about the actual show more here in a minute.
Will we though? I'm kind of already kind of depressed, but yeah, we'll get there.
We knew what we were getting into when we were going to talk about this.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough couple of weeks.
Hey, remember when we did this episode by episode for season 1?
Oh, thank God.
This is a placation. Give you a little taste of a reminder so that you're ultimately satiated.
Yeah.
Just remember that. We still have more to do. Now, with that said, bringing it back to the show, because I do want to talk about this.
Star Wars.
Real fucking good. Let's talk about everything that happens on the farming planet, because that farming planet.
Before we even get there, I know we've talked a lot about some of the great characters, some of the great actors. We cannot talk about any of this without talking about Diego Luna. Diego Luna carries the show in a way that I've
own segment because of how damn good he is in this.
He's absolutely phenomenal. Just the way that he slips into and out of every conversation, the way that he knows who he needs to be with who he's talking to. Like, it's a masterclass. Like, it's so, like, we don't deserve Diego Luna. We don't deserve Tony Gilroy, and we do not deserve this show because it is just that damn good.
I'm watching this and immediately I send you a text of like, man, Cassian cannot catch a break.
But I mean, we knew that going into this. Like, that's my whole thing with prequels like this of like, I don't like prequels.
We didn't know how it was going to go. We know he's gone through some shit, right?
But we know where he ends up, right? Like, that's why Rogue One, I love it.
Let me set my piece here.
Okay.
I get it. And frankly, we've heard your argument against prequels a lot.
I hate them.
This show.
Yeah.
But you're wrong here. And you've already been proven wrong for an entire season. We've had that conversation.
I know, but the challenge now is we're getting that much closer to the point of inflection into the next thing that we've already seen.
Mitch, have you heard
and we know it ends, and we only know Cassian is in Rogue One and Mon Mothma.
Not the destination.
I know, and that's why I'm enjoying this week to week and enjoying these chunks that we're getting. But
frankly, we don't know that everybody's going to die. We are very much assuming that.
Yeah, they could subvert expectations and set up some characters to exist somewhere else in the universe at some point, whenever.
Or they frankly could be operating upon different situations amongst the rebels. There are so many things that happen. Saw Gerrera is still a part of the story, apparently. How they're gonna
Yeah,
use him? Who the hell knows? That man just
I
pops
mean,
up in everything.
similar. I mean, I'm going to assume the way they led up to using him in Rogue One, to be honest.
Hmm. Well, Rogue One they used him, or I guess, yeah, Rogue One is just to show the death of Saw Gerrera. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But also everything we got through Rebels and,
well,
and,
season
and
two is
Clone
or
Wars to an
season
extent.
one in Andor is just him getting fucked by the rebellion.
Yeah, which we're going to see more of that here, I'm sure.
It would be interesting to see him have an antagonistic relationship with the rebellion,
Um,
and be the one to ultimately push them into war.
Another thing before we move into episode by episode, just again, passing flowers where they're due. We talked about how incredible Bix is as a character and representing that PTSD from the first season, as well as the shit that she goes through to begin this series or this season. I'm seeing a lot of positive buzz, and I think we need to let that continue. And if James Gunn is out there and sees this show, which I know he will, Adria Arjona, the actor who plays Bix, would make an incredible Wonder Woman in the DCU.
Oh god damn, you're right.
Right? Like
God, you are
so
so
good.
right.
So good. James, you're out there. Please. Like, please.
My only
You've
concern,
already David Corden Sweet looks so good. We're gonna get lanterns, and that's gonna be awesome. Just give me Wonder Woman and make it good. And Adria would be a great
can
actor
I
to
throw out
portray that
another
character.
potential character that she would be really, really good for?
It's I can't remember her name, but it's one of the Earth
Yeah,
Lanterns.
Jessica Cruz.
That's the one. Yeah, she would
Legit,
be
that
phenomenal as
is my
Jessica Cruz.
favorite Green Lantern.
I
She
know.
is
I
the
don't know
best.
if we get there because we're already getting 3 Green Lanterns between 2 productions, but
Which
I'd
is
love to see it.
exactly why it's possible for us to get
I
another
mean,
one.
it's James Gunn. We got goddamn Creature Commandos. We can get
I also want
who
to
the
say
frig
though,
knows at this
she
point.
has been in a superhero movie before, so she knows the process. She was in Morbius.
That doesn't count. That
Um,
movie doesn't exist.
Also, just shout out to her in Pacific Rim Uprising.
Yeah,
Yeah, one more
I,
thing to talk
I
about.
unironically love those movies.
They're great movies.
They're real good.
You give us a mech movie, and I'm here for it. One more thing though to shout out with throughout the entirety of this movie is the soundtrack or show is the soundtrack. We do have a different composer this season. Season 1 was composed by Nicholas Bertel, who does a fantastic job throughout that. Um, you may know him from, well, frankly, a bunch of stuff, but one of his biggest ones he ever did was Whiplash.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Brandon Roberts, on the other hand, composer, does a lot of horror. Um,
That tracks for where we're going this season.
He's done Pet Cemetery, Fear Street, Black Box, Little Evil. He also did that Chaos Walking movie in 2021, which isn't horror, but it's worth bringing
I
up.
don't know if I know that.
Chaos Walking was that really bad Tom Holland Daisy Ridley movie.
Oh, where they're like in the jungle or some shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the movie good? No.
No.
Is the music pretty damn good? Yes.
Oh, one more thing before we get into the Ben Mendelsohn is back. Ben Mendelsohn.
I mean, that kind of does feel like an in episode moment. Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn's back. Continue.
I was so happy to see Ben Mendelsohn. Disney Plus just loves Ben Mendelsohn, and Ben Mendelsohn loves Disney Plus, apparently.
Getting into it though. Oh, also shout out to B2 Emo. I just love this droid. It's nice seeing a droid with attachment issues.
I mean, we're gonna get K2SO at some point this season as well, which will be fun.
I want to know what happened to B2 though at the end of episode 3. Did they take him with them? I don't think they took them. I don't think they took him with them.
No. They left him with the farmer, or the farmer's wife, or whatever it was.
I need you to look something up though as I begin to talk about this.
Got you.
Episode, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say season 2 was going to be spanning over like multiple years?
Yeah. So what my understanding is, each chunk is going to be a 1-year time jump. So each 3-episode chunk is going to be a year represented. So we're going to get so season 1 was 1 year, and then this season starts with 1 year later. And my understanding is each week, every drop is a year time jump closer
to the
um, to the events of Rogue One. Because there's 5 years between the start of Andor and the events of Rogue One. Yes. So
I
season
understand
2
that.
takes place over the span of 4 years, confirmed here.
So yeah, it would make
Yeah.
sense then for it to be that much. I do think that is what they're doing. I think it makes a lot more sense now as to why they're doing it in 3 episode chunks, if that is how they're planning it. At the
Yeah.
same time, we're at the whims of the storytelling here. Anyways, jumping into it, our first 3 episodes. 1 year later, Sigruna Tima and Harvest, directed by Ariel Kleiman. Ariel Kleiman pulling up their information here.
Directed all 3 episodes.
Directed all 3 episodes and is directing the next 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
These first 3 episodes were all written by Tony Gilroy.
Obviously, I think the whole season was written by Tony Gilroy, wasn't it?
I mean, writer's room, but he was the lead on the.
Well, I mean, showrunner.
Yeah, he's the showrunner throughout all of it, but
Yeah.
the next 3 chunks have different head writers. Bo
Interesting.
Willimon will be will be the head writer on the next 3. Dan Gilroy will be on 7 through 9, and Tom Bissell will be on 10 through 12. Tom Bissell, a well-known name in the world of video games, having worked on a bunch of stuff. But the main one I can think of at the moment is Gears of War.
He also had writing credits on some of the Uncharted games.
He did a profile on Cliff Bleszinski. Looks like for Extra Lives: Why Video Games Matter in 2010. Yeah, here we go. Extensive work as writer of video games, including The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, Battlefield Hardline.
That's the one I recognize his name from specifically. Oh my god.
Which one? Ethan Carter or Hardline?
Ethan Carter.
I mean, both pretty good stories for games.
Yeah.
Remember, folks, video games have great stories too, which we'll talk about.
Video games are cool. Go play some video games. I'm gonna probably play some Pokemon after this because I'm real close to having them all.
We gotta
So
do more video game episodes, which unfortunately requires us to play more video games, which you just don't have the time for.
I own Cars 3 Driven to Win on the PlayStation 4. So I mean, you just tell me when. I own Wally on Steam.
Same for that one. I bought Cars 3
and Up, I think.
Look, the Disney games on Steam are always on sale, so it's really.
And I always tend to buy one every time they drop. I'm just like, ooh, piece of candy.
Anyways, bringing it back.
Piece of candy.
Yeah, these first 3 episodes, so damn good when it comes down to it. This first episode of like setting this up, this absolutely horrible job of stealing this TIE Avenger. That's what it's called apparently. Only to get stranded on this jungle planet, which is eventually revealed at the end of episode 3 to be Yavin 4.
Yavin 4?
I like this show not be constantly being the hey, here's an Easter egg. But when you know full well they're going to end up on Yavin 4 at some point within the next 9 episodes.
And that's nice to have that breadcrumb of eventually the base will be here. So having some, splinter group from the rebellion end up stranded here it's interesting storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having all this happening, and then also explaining the situation of Bix, Brasso, Wilman on this farming planet. They are undocumented and they're hiding out from the Empire. Cassian is supposed to visit them or meet up with them after this job.
It sounded more like he was supposed to return to them after this job and then they were going to move on.
Yeah, it sounded like I didn't know if they were going to move on or if they were going to stay.
Well, maybe not move on, but it seemed like this was their base of operations while he was doing stuff for the rebellion, because it seemed like the farmer was in on it too, right? Like he knew Cass. Mm-hmm. So it does seem like there was a bit of a longer standing relationship there. And again, we had a whole year between the events of season 1 to now that who knows what that looked like for them, right?
Oh yeah. It definitely, I think, is probably the most interesting part of these first few episodes to me, is just that dynamic there. And there is this back and forth between the different people on that farm and whether or not they're going to help them or not, and ultimately betraying them in the end, despite having tried their best to help and just having to make a decision at the end of this that keeps them alive. It was so interesting watching that back and forth to really to really ultimately feel that betrayal in that moment in episode 3. Um,
It was interesting too that I mean, I'll talk about when we get to episode 3. It's fine.
yeah, I mean they're all kind of one episode.
Okay, so then I'll just say now. It was interesting though the back and forth between Brasso and the farmer. Like it almost felt like it was staged. Like I don't know if it was just um, the
Like
acting
Brasso just
or if it or
trying
if
to get him to stay alive, like one out and
basically
one
keep him
more.
from not being killed. Yeah, exactly. Of like he was covering for the farmer of like, hey, why would you call them? Blah, blah, blah. Why would you betray us? Because he didn't want him to get shit because they've done so much for them, right? Or it
Yeah,
could have been the inverse where he was just all totally honest. Like it's hard. Again, this show does such a great job of blurring the lines where I don't know if it's one or the other, and I hope they never tell us.
yeah, same. I like the room for interpretation.
Exactly.
Anyways, we got all of that, but yeah, there's just so many great moments I think on Mita Rao, this farming planet. Like there's that. I think it's the beginning of episode 3. I want to say, where's the moment of all of them having dinner or
Oh,
lunch
I like
or whatever, and it's
the cookout.
yeah, it's just this massive communal meal and everyone talking shit and hanging out and having this community together, which I think was this great reminder of this is what the goal is for them. They want to have that community. They want to be safe. And so many of the
They
conversations that they're having about the Empire in that situation is just why won't they leave us alone?
I think part of it too is, and not just the why would they leave us, why won't they leave us alone, but it is this theming throughout of we're doing this so that we can live a simple life, right? They talk about how when the Empire shows up, like, yeah, just living the simple life, because that is the goal. Is just leave us alone. Why won't they leave us alone? And we get that with the farmer as well, where he comes in like, I did what I could. Your boss, you got to tell them like they need to stop this because we just want to live a normal life. Like they're not trying to do anything crazy. They're just trying to do their jobs, farm their fields, harvest their crops, and move on. Like they're not living this geopolitical nightmare that they need to be living. Again, you look at all of the farmers that voted for Donald Trump in the U.S. Midwest or the U.S. South and now realizing that the cows are coming home or the crows are coming home or the hens are coming home to roost. What's the figure of speech? Hens are coming home to roost. That sounds right.
I know what you're trying to go for, but I have no
They're
idea.
getting what they asked for
They're bad.
and not liking it, and that's entirely valid because of this misinformation campaign that's happened in the U.S. Similarly to what's happened in the Star Wars universe, and it's one of those things where like just get them to leave us alone. We don't want anything. We don't want a part of your conflict. Like we just want to live our lives,
Speaking
do
of
our
misinformation
jobs.
campaign, perfect transition into this whole Gorman storyline, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
again a great example of going into the
Oh my
reality of it.
god.
Of like
The,
they don't give a shit about the people. All they want is the rare mineral resources.
they
They're
want their MacGuffin the same way they were mining for Kyber in Rogue
not even
One. Like they
MacGuffin.
just need the thing to finish the Death Star.
Not even General McGovern, Mitch. They want their oil.
Yeah, well, exactly.
They want their
And
oil.
it's oh my god, the friggin' propagandists. I can't remember what they were from some division of uh I can't remember communication or whatever it was. I'm just like, oh yeah, we know how to spin this to make everyone hate the Gorman, so we're just gonna do that.
You know what
And
that
then you
felt
get
like
that.
when like those two are giving their whole speech? It felt like remember in Saving Mr. Banks where the Sherman
Yeah.
brothers would like pitch songs. It felt like watching
Mhm.
the evil version of that.
No, you know what it felt like,
Like
and because I
these two
read,
had so much charisma, and it's like
yeah,
you can totally see people falling into just believing it because these two were presenting it with so much authority and so much gung ho, just base charisma ridiculousness that we're just like, yeah, we're just gonna accept this.
it was Orwell, right? It was Orwellian in nature. You look at 1984, what they do is the Ministry of Truth. Like that is exactly it. It's what we are saying is the truth, and we are going to spin it and make everyone believe that what we're saying is truth to get you to do what we want to do. And like, of course, we haven't explored this much with previous Star Wars properties, and I'm really glad that we're exploring this here because we've never really talked about the fact that the galaxy was okay with this by and large, because they were told to be okay with it, right? And now we're getting more of those layers added on top of it that just makes this universe feel more lived in, more real, and like scarier because it's so close to reality.
Yeah, one of the best things I've seen of it was I think it was in Rebels, um, with how the rest of the world, or I guess galaxy, sees it, where it's, well, first it was the Republic, and now it's the Empire. They're not that different ultimately to a
No.
lot of these people, which is ultimately a damnation on the Republic, especially the Jedi. But it's also a point here of, no, these people in a very real sense, a lot of the people today in the United States, don't see the day to day things, don't pay attention to everything that's going on. So they're little things that are constantly affecting them. Those things that they can't just shy away from.
Well, I mean, you have something like the Empire coming in and causing delays in crop harvesting. It's going to lead to increased prices elsewhere in the galaxy. It's going to lead to shelves being empty because they couldn't get the product there. They're already talking about shelves in the US being empty in 3 or 4 weeks because of all this tariff stuff going around. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that these large geopolitical and in this case, galactic scale, but I mean, mirroring what's happening in the US right now, of these big decisions that you feel like shouldn't impact you end up trickling down in the worst possible way.
Yeah, the only way economics trickles down is with pain and largely blood. I
That goddamn Switch 2 price, man. Oh my god.
Such a,
Not the blood part, the pain part, because my wallet.
look. It's not an important part, but it's a great example. Um, bring it back here.
New games in Canada should not be costing me $115.
It's funny. I don't even care so much about the $80 price point of games in the U.S. so much as how we're putting these games on Switch.
No,
But that's
it's not even the $80. It's not even the $80 price point, Griffin. The $80 price point when the Switch 2 edition games in Canada, like Mario Kart, I think was $110 here. The Switch 2 edition games are even more expensive.
Yeah, of course they are. That's their plan.
7, 8-year-old games at this point. They should be more expensive.
That's their plan.
That's not a conversation. I know it's not
That's
a conversation for this podcast, but I don't like it. But I'm gonna pay it, and I don't like that I'm gonna pay it.
Then don't pay it.
I'm not going. Again, you got to be more selective with your dollar. Yes, I'm excited for a new fancy shiny piece of tech. Am I going to buy nearly as much for it? Absolutely not. I'm going to wait for the holidays and birthdays for people to buy them for me like an adult.
Anyways, I have no transition out of Switch talk.
Episode 2.
Yeah, we're bouncing around here.
I know. No, I'm just messing with you.
Surprised to see Deidre actually have qualms with this. Deidre, a character who has an unwieldingly brutal, here's what you need to do and here's how you should do it statement in this, but
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she flips on the Empire at this point.
I think she doubles down.
I could see it going either way, and that's what's so interesting about this.
After seeing her interactions with Cyril's mom.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, man, it's real satisfying watching her get put in her place, because fuck that lady. But
yeah.
And the moment of Cyril on the bed is one of the funniest moments in this show.
Just a weird guy.
Yeah, but it's also real, right? Like, bad conversation with a family member. What do you do? I'm just gonna go disassociate in the bed for a minute.
I'm just gonna go lie down for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know entirely where Deidre's gonna go with this, but I'm very excited to see.
I think her involvement with was it Krennic? Right, Ben Mendelsohn's character. I think that's going to be really interesting to see that relationship develop, because we know Krennic's a piece of shit from Rogue One, and what is he gonna like? He seemed to handpick her, and what is the end goal there? And does this maybe tie into what's going on with the plans for the Death Star, with everything going on with Jin's father? Like, there's a lot of machinations in this universe within these 5 years, and it's going to be really interesting to see where Deidre
What
Um,
has me really excited is
Watson.
the actress had done an interview. Maybe I think it was like on the Andor red carpet or something. But she was like, "Yeah, her story is going to get very fascist," and I am
Good.
very interested to see how it plays out because that character has to be. They are an information specialist for the Empire.
Yeah, that's fascism 101,
Yeah,
honestly, at this point.
and to see her, yeah, I mean, I think in those moments of seeing her with Cyril's mom, I think we're seeing her use that on such a smaller scale to prepare us for when we see it on a massive scale in the
She's
honestly probably next week's episodes.
oh yeah. I mean, with a time jump, it would make sense that she progresses in that way. But at what point does it bite her in the ass? Right? Because you look at some of the folks that she's reporting into, and she is definitely at times the smartest person in the room. And the thing with those rooms, that kind of room, you never want to be the smartest person in the room because you're going to piss someone off and they're going to send you to a gulag.
At the same time, I think it would be very interesting story choice for it never to bite her in the ass. Because ultimately the actions of the Empire are not going to bite you in the ass in this show.
I think they do if, again, I don't know if this gets there or not. I feel like it will just with the way her character's progressing. If you feel like you can bite off more than you can chew, as soon as you hit that threshold, everything's going to start to unravel.
True. I mean, it's honestly, it really falls down to how are they going to play this character? Is she going to double down,
Yeah.
or is she going to back away? And I think that is, if she doubles down, I don't think she gets anything bites her in the ass. If she starts to back away slowly, that's when I think we start to play into some of that.
Yeah, I don't think she backs away, but if she gets too deep, it's going to end up costing her in some way.
Yeah. We got that. We got that. We talked about that. We talked about everything. Oh yeah, everything on Yavin 4 is what a just chaos.
I mean, shout out to Benjamin Norris. Plays what's the name of the one of the rebels? Barty. Like he's just hilarious. Um, I know him best from Abbott Elementary, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in like iCarly and things back in the day. Like really funny guy, and he was great here. And it was
Yeah, I
I'm
love
like,
that
oh,
this.
I recognize that face. You're from that thing that I like.
I
That is
love
the
this
other
this
thing.
group of rebels. They aren't even rebels. They're just survivors here. This isn't some rogue faction. This is yeah, they're essentially guerrilla fighters. If anything, they're most closely relatable to Saw's gang.
Yeah,
But
no one really knows the answer to
yeah,
things.
and I think it does a great job to show that the in this year at least, the rebels aren't organized. Everything is still chaos, and the rebels ultimately don't get organized until Rogue One. So
Yeah. Even that, I wouldn't call it really organized. I feel like it's probably more so like through the original trilogy, they kind of get their shit together. But I mean, we know, yeah, no, yeah.
well, I say Rogue One
They're,
because we have that moment there, right, where Jin forces everybody to get their shit together.
they're pretty, or I would say they're somewhat organized in Rogue One. Like the whole premise behind Rogue One is that they need to. I don't know. My brain doesn't want to work right now. I'm tired, dude.
World's happening.
They're just a bunch of rebels, and then they get there is an inflection point in that film where the rebels become a rebellion,
Mm-hmm.
and it sets up the events of the original trilogy, which I think is really nice, but also a little too convenient. I hope we see more of that growth through this series because we know this 5 year period is what sets up the Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately
So
as well, the convenience of Rogue One exists because it is a movie. So
yeah,
we now have the chance to flesh some of that out, which I am sure we will. Or if we don't, we're going to love it either way. Tony Gilroy has proven that to me that I don't. They can literally do anything with this, and I will be like, yes, please give me more.
I wouldn't say anything. There's certainly ways they could ruin this. I mean, you can ruin anything with saying the wrong thing at the wrong time and just sours the whole audience to a thing. But I don't expect that here, just
Oh
given their
yeah,
track
I
record.
mean, short of saying anything, short of saying yeah, oh, it turns out rebels are wrong, the Empire's right. here. Like, I really do think that they're fine.
I don't think the core of the show does that, and I honestly think that having more folks that are buying into the propaganda and parroting that back, one is really eerie because it's exactly what's happening. Like, oh, okay, so I hate having to take this out of Star Wars and into other shit that I see,
As opposed to
but
the
I
last
saw,
40 minutes that we've been
yeah, pretty
taking
much.
shit out.
No, I saw a social post where someone was ragging on Democrats because the last 4 years, the tax plan, man, everyone was paying more taxes. But, and the dude's like, Trump locked in his tax plan right before leaving office, and the last 4 years have all been Trump, and that it is set to expire this year, right? It's like, well, Republicans are better at It's like, no. So it's again, it's what we're going to get back to here. It's party over policy.
Yeah. Always
It
is.
really doesn't matter what the empire is doing, as long as you're on the right, quote unquote, right side of history, you're going to continue to wave that flag.
Yep. World's fucked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bringing it back in, there's going to be a lot of hard cuts between topics, by the way, folks. That's just how the show is. Bring it back to the final storyline for us to talk about is Mon Mothma. We mentioned a little bit here, but I want to bring it back to everything with her daughter here. Because yeah, this was a hard one for me to watch. Right, of this.
Oh my god.
Her daughter.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, her daughter is doing this mostly so that she can distance herself from the
From her
politics
mom.
that she thinks her mom is doing.
Yeah.
Even though her mom is only using those politics to fight against what is happening here. And this is the moment I think that's going to be the big turning point for Mon Mothma, where she's losing shit now.
Yeah.
And like up until this point, she hasn't really had to lose anything.
No. And I think the fact that she's basically given up her legacy, for lack of a better word, in order to fund this rebellion is heartbreaking, especially with the fact that she has to keep it to herself to keep the rebellion moving.
Her legacy, yes, but
And
also
there's
all of her relationships with her entire family. We have that moment with her husband where he thinks.
I mean, her relationship with her husband was awful in the first season and hasn't gotten any better.
But we get like that moment between them where he's like, "Oh, so now you can properly take him as your lover because clearly that's what you're doing." And it's like,
Yeah.
no, that's actually not.
Oh, that moment between Mon and her daughter, where she's like, my mom was pissed drunk at my wedding and didn't say what I'm about to say to you, basically just telling her, like, you don't have to do this. You can live your life the way you want to live it. And I'd be so proud of you if you did that, only for her daughter to say, I wish you were drunk. Like that is death by 1,000 cuts. Like every one of these attacks against Mon is small in nature, but it ends up like it's heart wrenching.
Like that felt like the final blow.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes.
And it was hard to watch her in season 1 as well, right? There's just so much misplaced anger. And there's been a social media post going around that I agree with, but also is a little fascinating. Of basically, it was like a picture of Mon Mothma, and it was something along the lines of, "I wish liberal politicians fought like this against fascist government," which is something I absolutely fully agree with. But also, if in that world, no one knows Mon Mothma is fighting. And it makes me wonder at what point are people going to have to find out? Because it's obviously got to happen at some point.
There will be an inflection here where she has to go back against the Senate or the Empire. I can't remember how they've organized it now in terms of like you see the proceedings. You see the proceedings on court. Like eventually, that's all going to fall apart.
Oh yeah,
it has to, and it's going to be heartbreaking when it does. But also for Mon, probably a relief, right?
So, from my understanding, the Senate is there entirely throughout the reign of the Empire. They're just kind of useless.
No, I know, but there was this whole, I can't remember that Emperor has this whole speech at the end of episode 3. It's like, we're reorganized into the first galactic empire or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a situation like, again, to bring it back with the U.S. right now, right, where the Senate still exists. The Senate still has things to do, but there is an all-powerful being at the top still.
I mean, the other thing too is if people are online saying that they wish that their Democratic representatives fought the way that Mon Mothma does, maybe elect some Democratic representatives that are younger than 50 years old, because the actor who plays Mon Mothma is 47. And y'all are running around with geriatrics in the Senate. So, like,
Again,
you get what you vote for.
a lot of us don't vote for these people.
I know. It's a select few, and that becomes, again, a two-party system is inherently broken.
That is the one where I will always fight against it, because I did not vote for this. A lot of us young people don't want this.
I know, but I think part of it too, and that's why I'm very curious for those who don't know. I mean, we're breaking the fourth wall here. We're recording this just before a Canadian federal election. So I will be getting out tomorrow to exercise my democratic right to vote. I'm very curious, just with the way that advanced polling numbers have come out, if this will be a significant turnout and what demographics are turning out. Because if the young people don't turn out, we might end up in a very similar political situation to that of our neighbors to the south, and that would be absolutely horrifying. So I don't think many Canadians are going to see this tonight, depending on when Griffin puts it up. But if you do, please vote. And if you did vote, thank you, depending on when you're watching this. And also just vote. If you have the right to vote, vote.
And then, yeah, we mentioned Mon Mothma's dance scene at the end here, right? Of like this very relatable and horrifying moment, right? Of everything's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get drunk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame her.
That juxtaposed with the rape attempt scene with Bix and Barrasso dying. And
it was weird that the music carried over into those scenes.
See, I thought it fit. I thought it was.
It fit, but it felt
like
off-putting in a way that it was supposed to.
I like it from a production standpoint, which is one of those things where it's like I have to say it in this way because of the situation that we're talking about here, right? But I like
also totally unrelated, but Genevieve O'Reilly, the actor who plays Mon Mothma, fantastic in this. Did you know she played Tarzan's mom in that really bad Alex Skarsgård Legend of Tarzan film?
I kind of forgot that movie existed.
But also that ties back in here because Alex Skarsgård, who played Tarzan, Stellan Skarsgård's son.
Well, yeah. Honestly, like Genevieve O'Reilly was a standout in season 1. It's going to continue to be a standout in this.
Great choice to play this role. I think the first would have been Rogue One, right, where she played Mon, and then
Revenge of the Sith.
Or no, Revenge of the Sith, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic and wonderful, and
very, very good.
I'll watch her in anything. Also, she does reprise this role in Ahsoka as well.
Also, shout out to everyone this weekend that went out to see Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith in theaters for its 20th anniversary. God, I feel old. I remember when the video game came out and it was on the GBA and the DS. It was a launch title for the Nintendo DS, Griffin.
See, I just remember playing the Lego prequels game on my GBA.
We're old.
Yeah. Well, you more than me.
Shut up.
Anyways, folks, we've been talking for a while. As a reminder, world's fucked. Fight to change it. And don't stop fighting.
Vote.
Mm-hmm. We will be back next week, hopefully, talking about the next 3 episodes as we will continue to do for this entire series. These are not going to be uplifting episodes. I'm sorry. That's just
will it be cathartic for you and I? Probably. Will it be horrifying? Absolutely.
Yeah, this is not a happy show, and so we are not going to have happy episodes because it doesn't make sense.
Sorry.
Of course, folks, if you are interested, though, in checking out this episodes, they'll be up right here on YouTube and podcast services whenever I get around to uploading podcast versions. Check out this. Check out our other stuff. Check out our YouTube channel where new videos will be coming up here hopefully soon.
Thunderbolts is out this week. I got to get tickets still.
Yeah. We got a great episode.
Lilo and Stitch is out in like 3 weeks. That snuck up on me.
Mm-hmm. Our Moana 2 episode will be out shortly of the show. The movie's out.
Maybe we should skip Jojo Rabbit and Office Space and Idiocracy for a while. I think this is probably enough neo-fascism for me for a bit.
We're still doing Jojo Rabbit. I've already made the film thumbnail for that one.
Well, I'm saying we can do it, but like let's give ourselves a bit of a break between Andor and that.
I'm just supposed
That's
to
all
say
I'm saying.
that thumbnail was a pain in the ass, and I'll explain why off camera. Anyways, folks, we'll be.
I'm assuming it's because of Hitler.
Episode, but until then,
Is it Hitler or swastikas?
Swastikas.
Okay.
Until next time, folks, be good to each other. Bright suns. And
Bright suns. Jinx.
magical